Hello and welcome to Refuse. As always, I'm Plume Noir, and we got Butters here. She came and joined me right before I started recording there, and now she's walked off. Good, because sometimes she likes to walk across the tablet screen. I'd like to apologize first off. You may notice I'm a little bit more nasally than I usually am, which, believe it or not, is possible. My allergies are kicking my butt right now, so it's been kind of rough here. I've taken my allergy medicine, it's not helping, so I'm trying to give it some time to kick in, but it doesn't seem to be helping. And secondly, I would also like to point out I went a couple places to try and get this book. My main comic shop I've mentioned in the past, they pretty much only order to pull lists. And so I went to my backup shop, and they said they ordered like 2 copies and sold out. So, 100% pull rate. And oh, Butters is now trying to crawl under the blanket. So you may hear her go, nyeh, nyeh, nyeh. So this is Marvel Voices, Indigenous Voices #1. Yeah, like they're going to have a #2. Because this is pretty much supposed to be a one-shot. Can you hear Butters squeaking over here? It's not going to be like that Fearless, the all-women Marvel book that was so terribly bad last year. No, this is focusing on Indigenous people. And I know a lot of people have been covering this book. Specifically one particular page, and it's the Captain Marvel page, and there goes my bird wanting attention. As you know, that's what happens when I film in the daytime. My bird's awake and hears voices. It's like, okay, voices should be on me. So this book is all about Indigenous people, and there is the Captain Marvel part, which I'll come to, but I don't think that's the real meat. I want to give more of a review because you could say, I know Ethan has talked about this, your boy Zach. I think Bounding into Comics did an article on this. Now, I know a lot of people will, the people who defend this will just say, oh, well, that's just all the white people. This is for the indigenous people and, the people of the various nations. Well, I think I've mentioned this in the past. My mother grew up on a reservation in Canada, so I think I have a little bit more weight because you can't play that game on me, that identity politics. It won't work on me. And I've talked in the past, I've mentioned that the way Marvel is now, if I pitched a Puma book, I would probably get it. And look at this, I think I missed my opportunity. I probably should have done that because Puma is awesome. I love that character. So anyway, what is this book about? It's Indigenous characters written and drawn by Indigenous people. Now I'm going to keep using I'll use Indigenous, maybe Native. I won't. I may joke, call myself a dirty Injun because I can say that kind of thing. But we'll stick to trying to keep, because I don't want this to be the whole Star Trek Voyager thing where Chakotay was pretty much this weird gumball of all native cultures. That was a bad example of people writing when they don't understand that, Cherokee are not the same as Crow and that kind of thing. Anyway, I'm getting off on a soapbox here. So let's dive into this book. Now, as you see, we have this okay cover. Is that supposed to be White Wingfoot? I'm really not quite sure who that's supposed to be. Obviously, we have Warpath here, we have Mirage, we have Echo, bursting with bubblegum flavor here. Not a bad cover, but just the kind of lazy purple and is that pink, just starburst kind of bursting effect. Yeah, I don't know how well that sticks out from the eye, but yeah, it just doesn't really stick out. So oh goodness, I hate when that happens, when it does the panel view. So we start off with the typical, uh, your Native American style art, where it's the Watcher basically talking about these great indigenous, peoples. And he started listing them. And, let me, sorry, there goes my bird. And you see the list of people they're listing. We got Thunderbird, we got Red Wolf. It starts off with White Wingfoot, which I thought was kind of funny. Now don't get me wrong, I love White Wingfoot. I'm a huge fan of John Byrne's Fantastic Four, and then it seemed like they didn't know what to do with them. after that. So uh, he was a great non super powered uh, native person who lives with superheroes, who deals with superheroes, who can keep up with the She-Hulk. And yeah, they don't know what to do with him after that. And so if we go around, we got Shaman and Tallyman of Alpha Flight, and Snowbird. So we got three of Alpha Flight right there. And we go up here, we got Forge, okay, Echo, um, Silver Fox, whom I completely forgot was actually native. I remember Wolverine's series back in the 90s. And she was basically all I can remember of her is that she was Wolverine's lover who was killed by Sabretooth on Logan's birthday. And yeah, I don't really remember much about things I don't care about. So she gets the list. She gets to make the list. And that's really bad when you have to go back that far. And of course, we have Warpath. And a Puma is mentioned in here at some point. I think Risk, Echo. Where's Puma? Where's my boy? Okay, yeah, there's Mirage. I know Puma is listed on here. Ah, there he is. There's my boy. Puma. Yeah, I love that character because it is a great example of, natives living in the white world, looking forward, not looking at the past. Um, a lot of Indian characters, when they're shown, they're always experts in the mystical arts. Even Forge is, he has this mystical side. I really like the character of Puma, who really didn't look back at his nation's history. He was looking forward. He wanted to be successful in the world the way it is now. And I always talk about characters that, you don't need to have a character that just looks exactly like you. But I will say Puma, actually, he resonated with me. I really liked him. And, a lot of these characters do have mystical ties, which is actually kind of interesting. I'm always the kind that I would rather not see a native character because usually they have some type of mystical power or their name is a play on Tommy Hawk. And I would rather they didn't. Just forget. Just don't even look over here, okay? So that's why I like Puma. I like Puma a lot. And let's see if I can get this back to its regular size. And I hate Comixology. Have I mentioned this? So we start off with, there's three stories in this book. We start off with Echo, which starts with her being texted, by all these various, people. I don't know who Eggface is. Is that Kingpin? I don't know who this one is right here. You got Daredevil, Moon Knight, and yeah. And she talks about, sometimes I feel so weighted down by my past that I fear it's suffocating any chance I have for a future. And while she's in the alley, she gets attacked. And during the attack, her phone gets cracked in her pocket. I did see one of the articles. I have a rule. I don't watch any videos for anything I'm about to review because I don't want to be influenced by it. I did watch the Clownfish one, though, because it was not so much about this book. It was about the Captain Marvel. And they said that Captain Marvel actually breaks Echo's phone. That's not what happened. It actually broke in her pocket during the fight. And she handily takes down... How many guys are attacking her? Yeah, several. She takes them all down because she's a hero. And then just throws out her phone. Now, you have all these heroes that can text you, and you're just going to throw out your phone. People like me would love that. If I find a phone, which I have, the first thing I do is I fire up and I see what's on it. So, congratulations. You just gave out the contact information to Moon Knight and Daredevil and everyone else that was listed. So, during all this, Captain Marvel is just sitting there watching and picks the phone up out of the trash. Pretty sure you can keep the phone and lose the men, just so you know. This is the panel that everyone has been really talking about. The art is really bad. To be honest, the worst part is the star. Look at the star on her chest. It looks like it's not lined up. Normally it's lined up with the stripes on her shoulders, but no, it looks like it was just slapped. It's a slapped on Star of David. And there's so many comments I can make about that, but I'm not going to. Um, and then here we have um, uh, Carol showing that, hey, Echo's deaf, so you need to use sign language. He normally gets around by reading lips. And Captain Marvel shows up with Echo and has to go to another planet to save some people and defeat a god. Which, okay, this is like her showing up to Daredevil. There are certain levels. You have your street level people. Then you have your more, think of like Daredevil. Think about like, I don't know, Moon Knight. Then you have your next tier up. There's several tiers. Then you have your Avengers who, go out to other planets to do stuff. And then you have your truly cosmic people who pretty much live in space and drop down when you know, they need to get groceries. Captain Marvel is like the Avengers high level. Why she's going down to Echo to help overthrow all this, this gladiator style thing. But that's a hint. So that's a little bit of foreshadowing. So we get to this planet where people are being oppressed, and we find out that Captain Marvel isn't really Captain Marvel. It's Loki. So Loki just managed to get a spaceship, brought her to this planet to save these people. There's a misunderstanding, and find out that they're pretty much pacifists, and they're being forced to fight for their enslavers' amusement. I'm going to just kind of slide over because I do have to skip a few pages because we do get a few things about these aliens. One has mystic abilities. They all have some mystic abilities, but she tries to see Echo's future and just sees fire, and Echo's future's not looking so good. So the next morning, we go to this. There's like 6 people on this planet, and they're all being oppressed by this fat guy because there's no one behind them. So they have to go and fight. So Echo just kind of gently throws a spear at him and then kicks him. And so they have a little bit of a fight, and I should kill you. You deserve it for the torment you put these women through. But you've already taught these peaceful people enough about violence. Dude is built like a Chevy. He's just going to roll back and get them. And so she's standing on that. She's kneeling on him and says, I won't do that. Let them deal with you as they wish. Yeah, unless they kick his ass. The second she leaves, this is all going to go all over again. And of course, no, wait, pretty Earth hero, help me. And I could text you, right? Why? What? Why is the alien stupid? Why is the alien texting? Who knows? And so it ends with Loki sitting there saying, your future won't be easy, but I think you're finally ready for what comes next. It's an okay little story. Some of the art isn't too great, I'll be honest. That Captain Marvel, a lot of people are focusing on that Captain Marvel bit, and I think they're losing the big picture. This is a pretty much by the numbers. Loki takes her to another planet, which she just gets in her ship and flies away, because Echo can do that. Street level people, they all know how to just fly spaceships. It used to be Spider-Man even admitted he didn't know how to drive because, being in New York, he had no reason to drive a car. So, the second story is at a state fair type thing in Arizona, where we have, I don't know, is this supposed to be the final 2 people, for the pumpkin growing contest? And because there's no one else there, and there's just 2 pumpkins, and it's a native that wins, and they even comment, she ain't even from here. They're all off the res. Can't your father do something? Like what? He is at the county fair king. I thought I said far king. He is at the county fair king, and they aren't breaking any laws because his father is the sheriff. You can see where the story is going. It's the obvious, son of the police officer tries to get away with things. And now this is all over a pumpkin. The the sheriff's son attacks the natives. Of course he's blonde. Happen to notice he's a white blonde, and he's a teenage kid. Hits the other teens, but then it turns out that one of them is a mutant, and he can conjure all these, like creatures and that. So Mirage and Wolfsbane get called in. Now I will say the art on this isn't very bad. I kind of like the art in this story. They get called in to investigate because, well, it's a native and a mutant, so it's kind of like the old Marvel Comics Presents where you'd see something like that. Although it's kind of hard to do the whole oppressed thing when you have Mirage, who is already native and a mutant. So they get called in to investigate because they have to find this kid. And we get some actual conversation between the two of these. Whoever wrote this must have read early New Mutants because they kind of get the camaraderie between these two characters. Thanks for the help today and the company. Someday soon, you and I should visit a fair that hasn't been trashed by monsters. With your aim, you could win all the big teddy bears. I'll come back to that in a second here. So, of course, we get one of the creatures attacking, and I like the way he draws Rain in her kind of mid-transform. She could be human, full werewolf, and, kind of in between. And I kind of like the way he draws her this way. So Mirage does her thing where she, touches and figures out where the kid's at. And they go in and basically find the kid. And it's the typical explain that, he's hiding in a cave. And she talks about how, what she does, what he does, and how the powers, he lost control of his powers. And, she's learned how to control hers. And, of course, talks about Krakoa. I should skip a little bit. Let me slide over. I did skip a few pages earlier, so I'm going to skip another page here, where basically, as they're talking, Rain comes and tells them that the sheriff has showed up. So here we have the sheriff and his little posse looking for the kid. And easy, ladies, we aren't here for a tussle. And then, is the furry one a lady or a dog? It wasn't until my second read-through that I figured out a line here. I'm the sheriff. May I ask where you're taking the kid? And Mirage tries to explain the situation. Now, they're just kind of standing there, not hands on their guns. Okay, maybe she's close to it, but they get startled by one of the bat things. And, of course, the cop pulls out his gun, the sheriff, which he has a golden gun. So that is not on accident. So, now, they just got attacked by a bat. So he reaches for the gun. The other people reach for their guns. Notice that they have their guns pointed down. The police are trying to de-escalate the situation. They are trying to find, the kid and everything. And Mirage is the one that, if you don't include the bat, she's the one that fires the first shot, if you notice. And it turns into a little bit of a fight. This is why I explained this line here. Is the furry one a lady or a dog? Top of this page. You go to the next page. Against to the other person. This guy's standing over here. This dude is the one that says it. Rain just out of the blue says, I'm a lady. And it took me a few times to try and figure out why she said that. You don't want this. You don't want this fight, ladies. It's tasers, mace, and guns against teeth and arrows. Please don't make. And then she says, "I'm a lady." Against someone else completely different. I see what they're going for, but it's just a little bit too far away, from the setup for that. So, of course, the New Mutants take them down pretty easily, and then they handcuff the sheriff and his posse because they defended themselves. Okay, granted, you are dealing with 3 mutants, and they're handling this very well. Now, it could explain. We haven't seen anything to show that the sheriff is corrupt or anything. In fact, the kid even says that he's not the county fair king. Um, so I'm not quite sure why they're being handcuffed, what they've done wrong here. And that's my problem because it makes it look pretty much like white people are bad. They could have talked this down very easily, you know, and said, whoa, 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 he didn't mean to send that bat out. He's scared. Let's just talk. No, Rain immediately starts charging, and Mirage, Danny shoots an arrow, one of her, power arrows at it. Yeah, the story was going okay until the way it resolves, and those are the heroes. Um, we don't see what happens. They just handcuff the police, showing that they're wrong, and then it cuts back to God bless it. There we go. It cuts back to this heartwarming, our two peoples may be different, but okay, they didn't really say that, but that's the kind of thing you normally see on here. The ending here, I will say though, seems like they actually have read New Mutants because we have this thing with Mirage and Danny here. Sorry, Mirage and Wolfsbane, Danny and Rain, and where she does get Rain a bear. So I got you a present to make up for it. Ah, he's perfect, thank you. And they walk off arm in arm. There was in the New Mutants, there was a lot of tension between the two of them. In the early days of New Mutants. So it's kind of nice to see that there's a uh, kind of going back to that. Now, the third story. Let's just swipe this. Oh boy, this is a tough one to unpack. My stomach just growled. This is a tough one to unpack because this takes place, this actually gives the year, an unnaturally long lifetime ago. This takes place like in the 1800s, and where it's in the Northern Territories, it's in Canada. So this is actually Silver Fox, and this guy I think was made for this book. I think he's an all original character. He has psychometry where he could touch things and kind of see the future. They get into the white man's camp, and he starts, you know, touching stuff and feeling things and seeing the future or the past. And yeah, it's kind of not really well explained. But apparently they're getting revenge on the white people and, killing them in their sleep, basically. And their plan is to basically destroy their supplies. And so that the men will starve to death, turn to cannibalism, and, there'll be, no reinforcements to come help them. So, okay, given the time period, and like I said, my mother's Canadian, I can understand where they're going with this. This is why this is kind of a hard one to unpack because there was a lot of crap that happened back then, and on both sides, and so he sees what's going on and what's going to happen in the future, and it's just too much for him. And here's where the art gets really kind of bad. Is that Silver Fox's hand on his cheek? Is that his own? Does he have little tiny hands? That must be her hand 'cause she's touching him. And here's the part I had a problem with. So as they're going through, they're just kind of sneaking around the camp. This old woman comes out, and he tries to stop her. We're just leaving. You don't have to. And when she screams, just breaks her neck. Now, granted, this is, for lack of a better term, this is a war, story, of what happened in the past. And that still does, this is our hero. This is where it turns into a revenge type fic. Granted, hard times need hard actions. I understand that. But if you want us to be sympathetic to these people, they basically have the run of the land. They've just been kind of going through, solid snaking through this base and getting away with all this stuff. You want to cheer for them because, hey, you understand that they're the underdog in this. We know how history played out. And but if you want them to be seen in a good light, the fact that he just snapped an old woman's neck does not help your cause. Yeah, we get all the white men are evil, but they chose the worst person, a little old lady just going to get water. But at least Silver Fox, comments on this. She's a little bit shocked by the action. And it turns out we have a cartoon dog. Look at that. The art hasn't been too great, but it's been passable. But this is actually laughable. With its coloring and everything. It looks like a cartoon. It actually kind of looks like Sylvester the cat, to be honest. And then we see a little bit into the future where, he and Silver Fox are lovers, but he sees in the future he's not around, that she's actually with Wolverine. So I'm going to skip past this because, remember, this is the heroes. They name the dog. And then we get to the credits. And this Jeffrey, I say that, Verage, it's all native creators. These are the people you should be looking at, though. Oh my god, my it's dirty. Who the editors in that are, of course, we got Sarah Brunstad. Yeah. And the last page here is pretty much all talking about the Jeffrey guy who did the Watcher thing. And talking about how great he is and all that. So it's like they didn't really contribute much other than the art. It was written and drawn, but basically it was just talking about how who the various native characters are, and then we show pretty much three of them. Okay, yeah, three. I guess that other guy who is a whole new guy. So yeah, this is kind of garbage. This book is kind of bad. I'm going to apply my whole the Fearless book. If you're going to do a book like this, where you're going to showcase talent, put it all into it. Give it 100%. And I just said I was going to show this page, and I showed the page. Give it your all. Give 110%. Show us how awesome they are. Instead, we get revenge fantasies. And to end on this one, the last one is really kind of a dark. You go out with just a, you could really make it think, but make people think. But the whole white people guilt doesn't work on me. Maybe it works on my bird, but it doesn't work on me. So you can't get me with that. And here, of course, is where we have Sabretooth finds Silver Fox and kills her. On Wolverine's birthday. Like I said, that's all I remember. We have that middle story with Mirage, with Danny Moonstar, where it's a by the numbers thing. You have the people off the res, and of course the white people come to collect the Indian. But the thing is, we only see them trying to find them. We do see the white people, the non-natives, although the guy had the golden gun, haha. They're the ones who are trying to de-escalate things as much as possible. They didn't throw the first shot. They didn't even have their hands on their weapons. Until Rain turned into a werewolf. And then it's like, okay, things are getting a little weird. The bat comes up. When they did draw their weapons, they still had them on the ground. Facing the ground. They didn't have them facing at them. And we're supposed to see that they're the heroes. And that's the problem I have with the book. It's anti-cop. It's anti-white people. It's Marvel. You wonder why I'm not doing so many reviews. It's hard for me to read through this. And like I said, this is supposed to be celebrating Indigenous voices. I should be happy to see this. And 50% of this is garbage. I want my Puma book. I'm going to submit a thing to Marvel, even though they're broke. I'm pretty much, they're going to, I don't know if they're broke, but their quality looks like they're not paying a lot for some of this stuff. Where's that face? Where's that dude's face? That face. Yeah. That's Marvel. I don't think that Captain Marvel thing we saw earlier, this is Captain Marvel. This is Marvel. I'm getting myself worked up because I want this to be good. I think about, like, just some guy, when he reviews things and, how frustrated he must get. And this is how I feel. This could be awesome. You could have these characters doing heroic things. It doesn't have to be all in the past because every culture has crap that's happened to them in the past. Why don't we look to the future? You could show, instead of it being versus, white guys or what have you, they kind of did that with Echo in the beginning. Although she went to another planet to help people, and it still had all the symbolism of, the native people struggles in this country, well, on this continent, really, if you want to include Canada and Mexico. Um, you can show them being awesome. Show them doing cool things. That's all we want. We don't care that, they're not white. No, this is almost like a minstrel show where they're showing us, hey, this is what these people went through, and we should like them because of that, not because of what they do and the actions they take. That's the crap that pisses me off. And that's why I get so pissed at modern Marvel. And why this book could have been so much better, but instead, just in time for Thanksgiving, I know it's Indigenous month, but just in time for Thanksgiving, we get this kind of crap. You know, fuck you, Marvel. Fuck you. I don't drop F-bombs, but you know what? The more I read this, the angrier I get. So, you know what? I'm done with this. This is why my Marvels, the books I pick up have dropped. You know, I can never swipe through these quickly enough, especially when I'm looking through my phone. I didn't want to go on this long. This is actually the only, as far as art-wise, uh, it's by the numbers, but at least it's passable. The Echo one, it was a lot, and when you think about it, a lot of it didn't make sense. Wouldn't Echo say, "Oh, hey, Captain Marvel, Carol, why are you taking me to another planet? This seems maybe a little bit out of my wheelhouse." But of course, it's Loki who just gets a spaceship, and Echo knows how to fly it home, where she fights one alien guy in a group of 6 aliens. This is a story we've seen so many times. At least they could have given it a new twist. And maybe, I know they could not have said that the teenager was actually wrong, because that would be against the book, but it would have been a neat twist, and maybe show that he could, he was misguided or something. But I know that would be against this book, what this book is supposed to do. This just angers me, seeing this kind of crap here. This is not a good look. And I'd rather books like this didn't exist. Instead, well, they're already in a book. They're already in the New Mutants book. But take one of these other characters. Take Shaman, put him in someone else's book. Have him make a guest appearance in Captain Marvel. Have Puma make another appearance in Spider-Man. Where's he been in a while?